I'll be back someday, up to Onaway. Welcome, campers, leaders, and everybody in between to the CrowCast, a talk and squawk podcast about
Brigade and Onaway. Thank you guys for coming here to listen. Ethan's here with me, just having late night thoughts. Ethan is actually the guitarist of the Banana Boat Rockers for Camp Onaway. Ethan, tell me about your experiences playing for the Banana Boat Rockers.
Well, I'm one of 7, I think.
7?
Well,
there could be a lot more. we accept all.
Yeah. Kind of grows with time.
Think we have enough to split off and do another? Because one year, so what we're talking about is we have a band we do at a kids camp. It's for 6th grade through the summer after 11th grade.
Yep.
For boys, and then they do a girls camps too. We go to Boys 4 for Camp Onaway. And
Boys
that
and
is
Girls
through
Brigade.
the Boys and Girls Brigade. It is a great program. I also volunteered on Monday nights this year for the Building Leaders program. Great program too. The person she's in charge of that, Riley. She's going to be our camp manager. I'm really excited because I already had a hissy fit with her, and she handled it really well. And I'm like, oh, you're going to be great for our camp because we got some big personalities that are very passionate about things, and sometimes it gets a little too passionate. So, but yeah, she handled it really well, and I have nothing but good things to say about, like I say, just how she ran the program, especially 2 years in. And so, Ethan, you were a best all around camper.
I was.
BAAC. What year did you win it?
2017. So that was my senior year.
2017.
No, maybe, sorry, it was 2016.
2016.
Yeah, because it was my 11th and the 12th, so my final year as a camper.
So your yep. I was going to say it should have been your final year. One thing that was noticed was how you swam. That was a big thing because every year up to that, you had worn a life jacket.
Yeah.
You didn't know how to swim, and you learned how to swim at camp, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. That's really a testament to what you did, in your growth, physically, mentally, spiritually, I'm sure too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And socially even, because then you get to go and swim with everybody.
Yep.
That honestly is the perfect embodiment of growing in the fourfold, learning to swim.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see, like I say, your growth just through all of Onaway. But yeah, no, it's cool to have you as now part of the Banana Boat Rockers. I don't know if you were you one of the founding members?
I wasn't one of the founding members.
No, you were pretty darn close to done with, I think, because you were a camper yet when we formed.
Yep, and then I just kind of started joining for a couple of songs, and
Yep,
eventually it just kind of brought me into the fold, and I think it was probably my junior or senior year, the 10th or 11th grade, where you're like, yeah, just come up every night.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I think that even your enthusiasm and abilities there really shined, and what really showed a lot of the leaders what a good kid you were. And it's awesome to see as things grow. Now I see you taking these kids under your wings too. Isn't it great? It's so cool to see him growing.
Yeah.
Look at Phoenix, man. Look at Phoenix. You remember watching him, and now look at him. You were just talking about him before, climbing trees and doing crazy stuff, man. But he's making good money.
Yeah.
He's making really good money, and he's fearless, and that fearlessness came, I think, from growth through Onaway as well. You know.
Yep.
I'm not gonna act like Onaway is the only thing that helped any of us grow, but I think this is turning into an Onaway podcast. We got a big enough listening thing. But yeah, the rooster crows at midnight. Let's interview all the Onaway people, and yeah. Or Rooster with Rooster, Ethan, we got enough to bring in some more. We'll bring in Yuppie.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yuppie, this is your official invite if you listen to this. Yeah, there's so many more. Yeah, that's Yuppie. He was just, I mean, he can give us some background on being a camp director.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like that'd be fun to dive into that and learn more about what makes this stuff tick. Like I say, it's such a great organization. It's great to get to watch these kids grow, become adults, and learn leadership skills on their own through that way. And like when I was sick, Ethan was the one to step up, and he really led the band. Everyone said like you did great with that. You were the one, and that's awesome. I'm glad to see. I think that kind of speaks volumes to the growth in everybody, that we've gotten to a point where people aren't, it's not like a person has to be there all week. No matter what, we can pull together and make it happen. And that's always been Boys for, I think. We've always, even before the band started or anything, we've always taken and made the best of what's around us. And it's always been that mentality of just doing it,
Leave things better than you find it.
Yeah, and there's so many good things that you can learn through Brigade and Onaway. The fourfold is one of those things, and I just showed you. What is it? I Dare You? It's called.
Yeah.
I forget who the writer is. I should probably look that up. I'll get you talking on something. So how does the fourfold honestly touch your life?
It really, it comes to mind in those hard times. It comes to mind in those positive times. And looking back on it, just whenever you're in a situation where you're kind of questioning like what you're doing and kind of where you're going in life, you think about the four parts: the mental, the physical, the social, and the religious. And I mean, myself as a person, I don't necessarily consider myself to be religious, but I still feel like there's something out there. I
Well,
mean,
and I think religious is a spirituality. Honestly,
yeah,
it's like a soul, feeling in the soul.
yeah,
And I mean, you don't even have to be religious necessarily, like in a traditional sense, like Catholic or Lutheran, whatever. I think that for some people, it's just being in the woods.
yeah,
For some people, it's playing guitar.
yep.
You know what I mean? Like everyone's got their thing that brings them to that next level. It was a Disney movie, Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Soul. Like this, oh, to be like, it does a great job explaining like how the soul. What is it called? The soul. Yeah. So it's if you haven't seen Soul, it's a great. I think it's just on Disney Plus. They might
Oh
have
yeah.
sell it now, but all right. So that book is called "I Dare You" by William H. Danforth. So that book was definitely a big influence on the fourfold, and I plan on reading it. So I'll get back to you, audience, as you listen to this, and explain a little more of that. But you have a fourfold life to live: a body, a brain, a heart, and a soul. These are your living tools. To use and develop them is not a task, it is a golden opportunity. And that's directly from the author, William H. Danforth, that said that. So I think that that's really, I need to get closer to the mic. I think that that's really what the fourfold embodies. It really still blows me away that that was a book that this stuff comes from. Like it was
Yeah.
like someone that, and I think it's been around for a while. It really looks like
Looked like 80s maybe.
1932 is when it was. Yes, yep. That is
1932.
why it's up at camp, and
Yeah.
I mean we're talking like one of the OG self help books, probably.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Well, and you can honestly, you can go into. I went over to the self help area, and that's where I found that the book I had, Parenting for Dummies, Raising Teenagers, which my fiance thought was hilarious. She didn't think it was hilarious at all. She was surprised I spent money on something that dumb. I'm gonna read it. I plan on reading it, and maybe there's some good things. Probably not. So, anyways, though, but this was published in 1932. It's genre is self help book. But I Dare You, and like I say, I'm gonna read that, and I think I'm gonna get back to you as an audience on our next interview. We'll see if Ethan maybe reads it too and what he thinks about it. And yeah. So, what is one thing about Onaway you feel that really helped you physically?
all of the physical activities. I mean, when you're up there, like, especially when I was a camper, you didn't have a phone glued to your hands. You weren't
No,
constantly
no.
staring at a little device. Like when you're up there, you're constantly running around doing different team games. You're in the water, you're boating, you're kayaking, whatever it is you want to be doing. You're constantly moving around because if you're not, then you're just sitting there. But there's
Yeah.
all this opportunity and all these activities happening around you that you want to hop into it. And I especially like you were talking about earlier, like even though I never really felt comfortable with the whole concept of swimming for my first 5 or 6 years up there, like I was still wearing a life jacket and just getting out there and floating around.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No, you never let it get you down. You were still out there participating.
yeah, and I never got too self-conscious about it.
No.
I
No,
mean,
no, I don't think anyone ever gave you crap about it really either.
I think my 6th grade year,
Yeah, you
they
meant,
they had
yeah.
me in a skit.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're right. Yes, I do remember that now because it was adorable.
Yeah.
Because you were so small.
Yep.
I think that's why. I think it was just funny because of the sheer size of the life jacket compared to you was the joke, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody like judged you on it. I think it was more, it's comical, you know?
Yeah.
That's like the when you got a fat guy, a fat tall guy, and a short skinny guy. You know what I mean? Or actually a short fat guy, tall skinny guy.
Yeah.
That's a comedy duo. That's Abbott and Costello. That's you can look throughout history. That's normally what's paired together. You know,
Yeah.
but big and little.
Yep. But yeah, I was definitely a big swimmer. Big into the topside games, running around with all of that.
Yeah.
Um, just kind of getting out there. I remember we had what was it? It was like the water bike.
Aqua bike.
Yeah,
It
the
was like an
aqua
aqua
bike.
bike. It was like a trike, kind of like
Yeah.
had two things in the back and then one in the front.
Yeah,
It was more of a paddle boat kind of in the back.
I was big into the paddle boats, but I was really big into the water bike because I
Yeah.
was big into biking on land. Being like the only way back before a license how to get around, you bike everywhere. So being
Yeah.
able to bike on the water, it felt super freeing. And I'd love to just like take that thing and cruise out there because we only had one on the whole island. And
Yeah, no, it was definitely something that I it wasn't there long because that wasn't there when I was a kid, and it wasn't still not there now. I
yeah,
think that got destroyed because it was. I don't think it was that well built.
yeah, it was kind of
But
falling apart for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, yep. So I think like there's so many things. They're bringing back water buoy. It sounds like they're looking at getting a new
Yeah, the air buoy.
an air buoy. That was something when I was a kid I loved, but there wasn't a lot of kids that did it. But like Robbie Williams and Eric Ingles, either one of those names ring a bell to you.
No.
I'm sure some of the listeners, because I'm assuming if we ever do post this, that some of the listeners will remember these two. They were two delightful people. They really were. And they would they they're really good friends now, even later on in life. But those two would get after each other, and it was so funny to watch them argue. And both of them took things very much to heart, very big hearts, and it was just so fun to be around them. It definitely showed, and they got brought up in skits and stuff. And I think sometimes that can hurt when you get brought up in a skit in a negative way. Do you feel like when you got brought up when you were a kid, did that hurt?
No, I thought it was pretty funny. I mean,
Yeah.
the proportions were the exact opposite for the
Yeah,
guy that was playing me,
yeah, he
but that
was
was the funny
really
part.
big. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they might, did that on purpose to comically be like, no, we got this huge kid playing Ethan.
Do you remember
Yeah.
who played me?
No, do you remember?
I don't remember his name, but
Okay.
he was like a 6 foot toned athletic African American male
Okay, yeah.
in a tiny little life jacket.
Okay. Okay. Superman's dad, Jarrell.
Jarrell. Yeah.
Jarrell. Yep, Jarrell was his name. Yeah, Jarrell. I remember that now. That was such a he was such a fun kid too. And I remember he got along so well with everybody. Right away his first year because he came in as a little bit older, and I know he came in a little worried if he was gonna get along with people, and he freaking immediately. It's always those people too that are like a little bit. You can tell they're a little bit worried, and they end up just shining.
Yep.
And I can relate to that because I know myself, I'm so worried about what everyone else thinks all the time that I definitely I went in there worried about am I gonna make friends, and I had no problem. It's such a beautiful place, and you're gonna find your f-
Yep.
buddy. You're gonna find somebody. It's seriously, I love seeing some of the people there every year, and some of the people I only see there
Yep.
that little bit. That's it. Other people I try to run into more throughout the year. I think everyone gets busy life sometimes, but
Even if
I'm
you
personally
rarely
trying
see
to.
them, I mean, like
It's so nice to see.
the
Yep.
second you're back up at camp, it feels like no time has
Yeah,
passed.
exactly. It's like you're right back to where it was the last time. It's such a magical place. I feel like every time I come back from it, I've gotten a good soul like
Just a
just
reset.
reset, and it helps me get through the year.
Yep.
Like really, because I mean, and there were times in my life I thought about it all year round, and I did stuff all year round, and I'm away from that. I had like doing comedy and other things. I found myself dumping that energy into other avenues that eventually became took over a little bit, and then I actually took a back seat with some of my plans I would make for Onaway. But I mean, like the year we did a presidential election year, that was a blast.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. I had so much fun doing that, and I feel like it ended up getting the kids took it exactly how I hoped they would. Um, the people involved with the it was Bones and Camper Grant. I
Yep.
think they played their parts really well. And Camper Grant kind of went more with the Bernie Sanders, promising turtle for everybody. And Bones was going to make Onaway great again. We don't need to say what that lines with, but yeah, no, it was just so cool it was so fun, and his whole thing he was running on is burn it, just burn it
Burn
all,
it.
start it up from scratch, and it's poetically beautiful that you look at that and who he was based off of and kind of where it's at now. Like, we don't want to get too much into politics though, because I
Yeah.
know, especially with something like Onaway, we have people that actually sit on both sides of that fence.
Yep.
But what is beautiful though is like these are people you can actually talk to about it and really break bread with the other side.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you learn with Onaway. That there is always people who are so passionate and are gonna see things differently than you, and you need to learn to coexist.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think everybody that walks away from Onaway really knows. I've known people that have been like staunch right wing people that honestly have some bigger hearts than some of the liberal friends I know that are musicians that would leave a person like suffer before giving them like the spare shirt out of their backpack. You
Right.
know what I mean? And this other person would give them the shirt off of their back.
Yep.
That's kind of what I see there, and that's the beauty of it. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, what some of that stuff is. These are good people, and we need more of these good people. I think there's just this rampant um, need for feeling victim, and I think this is a group that doesn't do that. They're the ones that have taken life by the balls, for lack of a better term. I've been trying to stay pretty clean with this. But the people who took life and just really like, all right, let's do this. Most of them have dealt with a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the people you see that are involved in this are involved in it because they have been able to balance such an immense amount in their own lives, and they still have that sliver to give. These are givers. These are people that's what they want to do. And it's so beautiful to be around many people like that because you all give to a common goal, and it doesn't drain everybody involved because everybody's working together. And I mean, I feel drained after a week. Don't get me wrong. That's of my own doing because I'm staying up too late, whatever. It's hard when you're coming up with ideas at night and your brain's flying
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out a way to just turn it off. But that's how it feels up there. My creativity is just flaring. I don't know. Do you feel like that's kind of how you feel too? I feel like everyone kind of gets that boost. The creatives do.
Yeah. I mean,
Everybody really.
even just coming together not tonight and jamming, trying to figure out some songs.
Yeah,
Like
yep.
it's been great jamming out with somebody else for the first time in however long.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun to like get together. Anytime the band gets together, like we mentioned at the beginning, Banana Boat Rockers, and a little bit of a history of the Banana Boat Rockers. For those of you that don't know, is we started actually because Luke Keck suggested that a band should be started.
Yeah.
And Luke is not musically inclined, but a big music fan. And Luke got up and sang with us early on, and he wasn't a bad singer. He really wasn't. Like I could hear him singing right along.
Yeah.
And still at all those guys, you can hear him bellering, man. Like it's really cool to hear how our camp has become such a musical camp because before it wasn't. And I don't know if you remember that at all. Have we the band's always been around kind
Yeah.
of for you?
I think it
All
was
right.
always there.
Yeah. So like before, I mean, you had like Yuppie. He did music, but we didn't have anybody playing an instrument.
Right.
It wasn't like whenever we sang songs, it was all the
Just like
repeat songs and like the
acapella.
acapella, and up to Onaway was honestly, I didn't like singing it as a kid because it was such a death march. It felt like the hymns like that I had to sing at church.
Yeah.
And like when I went to went to a Lutheran school growing up, so we sang these hymns that were very much like a death march, like it's. And I mean I always felt like that time too. Like you want to sing praise, you don't want to. I don't know.
Not a lot of life in
No,
it.
not a lot of life there, and it's yeah. So I really think that it's cool to hear how we've flipped so much over the years, and now have become known as the music camp.
Yeah.
Which I mean, well, and I shouldn't say that. Boys 3 is very much a musical camp. And I actually, my fiance, her dad, I met at work week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Tom. Like I met him, Tom Vandenbranden, and awesome dude. He was a Boys 3 guy, and he knows like the Stutzmans, the one that wrote Up to Onaway and Sanitation Engineer.
Oh wow.
And Campers, and a lot of the songs we do are the Stutzmans.
Yeah.
The early ones that we did, we like Mosquito Hollowville was Yuppie started singing and goofing around, and I remembered it, and we was just goofing around and came up with a couple things, and then I wrote out the whole song then, and I was on nights at work and just heard it on the radio
Yeah.
and just felt creative. And yeah, so I just kind of started as I was doing my job. I'd dip off and like type out what I was thinking about, like as I was wrenching on stuff, and freaking get back to it. And oh yeah, and then, like every time I just like just kept coming up with better and better stuff, and it was just so much fun to write. And that one was well received.
Yeah.
The one that I really enjoyed, we just did this last year, was Bracket Man.
Yep.
That was such a dynamic song. Like, and you did so well singing it, man. Like,
Thank you.
like seriously, like I can't hit some of that stuff, man. Like, and even the play, it's so much fun. But like, it's fun that we're at a point now where like the band's doing stuff that I can't. And okay, back to what. So Luke saw us jamming, thought that was really cool. They should call this just ADHD with Rooster. But yeah, that's so Luke saw us jam and thought it, was like seeing that, hey, we got musically talented people here,
Yeah.
which we didn't really have that. Why don't we do a band, And so we had a few of us get together, start jamming, and it just went so well. It became so natural the first year right off the bat. We did Wagon Wheel.
Yep.
That was the big song. And then we practiced some of the regular camp songs up to Onaway. But I mean, Wagon Wheel was the big one.
Wagon
And we
Wheel's the reason that you and I got connected in the first place.
Yeah.
This is a little sixth grader. I would always catch you guys practicing out at Inspiration Point or
Yeah.
wherever.
Yep.
And then I just kind of like follow along and
Yeah. Yep. No, that was so cool, man. Like that song is such a staple at camp now. and it was from the get go. Like it's the year we started playing it was the year it just that
It blew
everything
up
came
immediately.
it's continued since, and it's been such a staple at camp. It's been something that like even like going to sign up for SOAR camp, right away they're like, hey, we hear you and you, your sister, and your dad are musically inclined. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. So there's a reputation there now, even through the organization and stuff that has been talked about. So it's cool to hear too. That means we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Even like Boys 4 filling up like it has in years past. Not this year though. Hey, if you're listening and you haven't signed up your kid or whatever, or know some kids,
Get on that.
get on that. We Boys 4, Camp Onaway. All right,
Boys and
so
Girls Brigade.
Boys and Girls Brigade, Neenah, Wisconsin. Not Boys and Girls Club.
No.
We don't like them. No, I honestly though like
They've got a good program,
they
but the
got a great
brigade is
program. The
different.
brigade is totally different. Like you can do both of them
Yeah.
honestly, and then you're gonna get a totally different thing out of it. Brigade, you get to go and there's a rifle range, there's an archery range, there's
Plenty of gym activities.
plenty of gym activities. There's a climbing wall there.
Yep.
There's so many cool things that you can go there and do. Woodworking shop, metal shop. They have welding equipment there that's really good. They really focus on trades and stuff too now. Like they're really trying to gear up and find more stuff to do hobbies and stuff like for that. So there's so many different hobby clubs. They still do stained glass down there, which is really cool. But
I remember the slot car tracks.
yeah, slot car tracks were not working the greatest the last I saw it. Someone's got to go in there and give that some loving.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. It's all about who volunteers.
Yep.
And what they get into. They have so many things there that no one's using. Like they had like a bunch of screen printing stuff there that's just sitting there, and I don't know if anybody's running a workshop or nothing.
I remember
Someone
that.
felt like doing it.
I remember like the leather tooling.
Yeah, yep.
Making
There's
your own
yep.
notebook.
Someone's doing that. Yep. We're doing tie dye. We did. They have a yoga room there now.
Wow.
Yeah. They have a yoga room, which is cool. I've been doing yoga. I'll tell you what. Like it really brings me into my body.
Yeah.
Like when I need to. Like there's times I feel really out of body, and like just too much in my head. And like it really brings me back down into my body.
Yeah.
And one thing I've been learning about is like chakras and stuff. Like the whole, and it's really, there's something to be said about that. And it kind of coincides with the fourfold.
Yeah.
I think it gives a little more layers to it.
A bit more on the spiritual side.
Yeah. Well, there's spiritual that's involved in it too. But I mean, you're really like each part of your chakra that you're aligning is a different piece of your body and mind that you're really linking together. And it's spiritual, mental, religious, and physical. You know what I mean? And I don't know why I included some in there.
Religious,
yeah. Religion and social. The social aspect, not as much. You're not seeing the social as much there. I think that's one of them, though. I think it is. I think one of them is like
it's mental, physical, social, and religious.
Yes, no, for the fourfold. Yes,
yeah.
But your chakras.
Oh, yeah.
That's a little bit of a different thing.
And they're all a different color.
Yeah, yep. So, what was your favorite like what experience with camp do you feel like was the best?
I think just getting to kind of learn those team building skills with other campers, because being kind of a socially awkward kid, it was difficult for me to talk to kids my own age and try to hang out with them. But when you're encouraged to kind of
break out of that shell,
get together, break out of that shell, like you just got to do it. And it's just like a gentle nudge in the right direction, and you end up making some lifelong friends up there. And it's such an incredible experience up there. But yeah, a lot of the team building stuff, like, and it's a fun competitive with so many of the different activities because you're trying to earn your team points for the overall throughout the week. And it really motivates the kids to just
it's the Harry Potter method, the Hogwarts. Well, it's been around since before that ever was around. But it's like that whole, like, honestly, like these kids would tear each other apart if they didn't have a common goal to like if there wasn't that competition there, like camp was just a free for all, just run around, do whatever you want. It would be nuts. You know it would.
Nightmare.
The only reason why we're able to hold and it doesn't become like Lord of the Flies kind of a situation is because of the competitions. We're able like to divvy out points, like the professors from Hogwarts. Like seriously, like
It's
You
the
can use
common
that. You
goal.
really can. Like, hey, you want to lose some points? It's and then they'll listen.
Yeah. Hey, you want to
Um,
finish this milk pitcher?
yeah, yeah.
5 points.
No, that's different. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but it depends on what. I think there's
Yeah.
some fun stuff, and I think some of the things that get done are a little bit whatever. But I don't think any of it's ever way malicious. I really don't.
No, there's never any
Everyone's got
ill
their different
intent.
methods. No, I don't ever think there is. And normally the kid that's doing it's got the biggest smile on his face. So I
Yep.
don't think everybody's pretty good about knowing people's boundaries there. And that's actually I think what I'm going to cover. Part of my chapel talk this year. I'm going to talk about boundaries a little bit and setting boundaries.
Nice.
How hard that can be with certain people and stuff. I just think a lot of things about my own mental journey, but that's one of the things that I've been working on my mental aspect a lot, and a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and just cracking open and doing a lot of self help things, and that's where the I Dare You came from. I wanted to read that, and I have a whole bunch of books I've been reading. Just trying to really dive in and figure out more. I gotta started doing therapy too.
Oh
That's
wow.
been awesome. BetterHelp, honestly. Sponsor us, please. Um, I hear you guys sponsored podcasts. Yeah, this awesome podcast, New View Advice, I've been listening to with Amanda DeRocher. Like, it's amazing, and I just really find that every time I listen to her, I find myself diving more into something of my own
Yeah.
mentally that I can face. And this is where the religious aspect comes in. I've been finding putting it all to the Lord has been helping me personally. I used to think I get so mad because like my daughter being born on the spectrum, just some of the other things that's happened in my life that's just felt so unfair. Um and I'm not gonna my daughter's awesome. I love her. And she's such a intelligent young lady, but it, I'm not gonna act like it's been easy. But what I realized with that and in a lot of other trials and tribulations in my life that the Lord isn't there to just take them away. He's there to strengthen my roots, to help me handle it. When I feel like I only have a sliver left, that little bit like the oil, there's a parable. I don't know if it's a parable. Actually, it was after Jesus came. It was an apostle that went, and this woman, all she had was a little bit of olive oil, and she's like, "Please, I need help. I don't have anything." And she's like, "What do you have? Like, give me whatever you have." And I don't have anything. He's like, "No, you don't get it. Whatever you have, give me. All I
Yeah.
have is this little bit of oil." And she poured this little bit of oil and filled up like 8 jugs, I think, like in her house that were just huge, and ended up with like these mass. Like at that time, this oil is so expensive. Like olive oil was like that stuff was you were rich if you had that much amount of oil.
Yeah.
And this woman went from nothing to whatever, and that's kind of like even if you have that little bit, just that little bit to give, like putting that little bit into God can help. He's the one that can make it so much more. And that's
Something
where I
from
really,
nothing.
yeah, I don't know. I've been grasping to that, and I'm not trying to, like I say, I'm not one that tries pushing that on anybody, religion or nothing, but it's so cool just myself. And part of me wants to, like, get the feelings I get from it makes me want to tell everybody. But I also know that people who are born again Christians can be really annoying. I'm not born again, but I feel born again. But like I definitely know the other end of that, watching that and being annoyed by that. That's not the approach from it either. But just speaking of yourself and what you believe, I found um, conversations naturally happen, and whether people go to Christ or not, I think there's just the better understanding of no matter what, no one promised us this life was going to be easy. That's the thing that I can't. It's weird when you get to it, because and that's one thing that the fourfolds helped me out a lot with is just really realizing how I need to get back to that. But
Yeah.
sorry, I just ranted for a while there. It's fun.
From the spiritual and kind of the mental side of things, have you ever heard of stoicism?
Stoicism, no.
So that's kind of like the mentality of just kind of your own internal power.
Yeah, yep. You make your own destiny. Yep.
Yeah. You just kind of take things as they are.
Yeah. Yep.
Try to maintain that more positive mindset, but
Yeah.
you can't let things bother you to your core, because
Yep.
then that's all you're gonna fixate on. And people like you and I with ADHD, where you tend to
Fixate on
hyper
things.
fixate,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
like you can go down into a rabbit hole so
Oh
quickly,
yeah.
and then it can be hard to get back out of it.
I
But
think I live in rabbit holes.
yeah, yeah,
I think
the
I just go from one to the other. I'm like, I think I'm out of here. Nope, another rabbit hole.
yep. But yeah, if we're gonna shout out podcasts, the Stoic Coffee Break by Eric Cloward. I listen to a lot of his clips. They're usually around 10, 15 minutes long. Some days they're only 2 minutes, but I mean, different topics just to kind of be mindful of and not let them control you. I mean, like, there's even such a thing as toxic positivity.
Yeah. To be too
And like,
positive. I've known people like that.
yeah, embody your philosophy, give yourself fully to your endeavors. Like, just there's a lot of different topics that people tend to struggle with mentally, and there's ways about it where you can kind of help self navigate and not get caught in those kind of patterns.
No, and patterns is where it like lies too.
Yep.
That when you start realizing it, you're like, wait a second, I've been here before.
Yep.
Wait a second, this feels familiar. Why have I found myself in this place again?
Yeah.
And that's when you really stop and take a look at yourself and go, hey, what am I doing that's got me here again?
Yeah.
And that's the way to look at it, because normally for a while we look at what am I who this person or this person, what are they doing to make things like this, you know? And you blame it on the people that you surround yourself, but the problem is you surrounded yourself with those people.
You have to look inside. You can't be looking outside and blaming others.
Yep.
Like, you really got to get a soul check and just kind of look internally, assess whatever pathway you've been following and whatever turns you've been taking to get yourself back in the same spot. And it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, no, and I really feel like, I don't know, as when you do start diving into yourself, you start ripping open some stuff though. You're doing work on your heart. When you're doing work on your heart, when you open heart surgery, your heart's wide open. So your feelings are going to be a little more raw with that too. And that's depending on what you're diving into. I mean, there's definitely a finding of peace, but there's also when you want to face some of the trauma that's been in your life, that's really where when you find your triggers, the things that trigger you, okay, this thing made me angry.
Yeah.
Why did it make me angry? Or why did this make me so sad? And then you start digging deep into that. That's when you start finding the core of things and the things that need to be healed.
Yep.
And that comes to mentally. Like I say, mentally is really what I've been focused on in my life lately. Trying to focus on physical a little more too for the fourfold, but mentally has really been, and one religiously too, but going to church again. But that's not, like I say, that's, I think, going hand in hand with everything. And you can't just work on one realm. You should be working on all four. Like, it really is. Like, there's a balance there.
Yeah.
You lose the social aspect of it. Like, we don't get together like this.
Right.
And jam and record a podcast randomly.
It's
like, that's, you don't, like, that's the kind of stuff that, the social stuff that also helps the soul.
If you neglect one of them and you're primarily focusing on the others, you're never going to be
whole. Exactly. And that the fourfold is really such an awesome thing. And I've been teaching it for so long. Have I gotten up and taught others about it?
Yeah.
And not really fully grasped it myself.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, those who can't do teach, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many like things like that. But I'm so happy I've gotten to where I am with things, and I feel like through my growth I've been able to even do chapel talks. And I feel like people tell me that they've been all right, but I'm not too worried. I'm trying not to worry as much about how people view me, and just pouring myself out. And I think because of that, because I'm real, a lot of the kids see that and they respect the hell out of it too.
Yeah.
Because I noticed like the last few years doing that, and that's why I continued doing them, is because you get up there, you pour your soul out, they see that, and you're relatable now. You're someone who can teach. You know,
do it scared, do it nervous.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you can connect with one person, one life, I mean, that's changing somebody for the better.
Yeah.
And it's just a chain reaction, because they're probably going to go along and help inspire somebody else. I mean, I remember when I was doing my, at the time, chief, now captain.
Captain, yep.
I was doing my
Cultural appropriation and all that.
I was doing my assistant captain chapel talk, and after just kind of talking about what was going on in my life, hell if I remember what I talked about, but I touched a couple people kind of spiritually and just mentally with what I was talking about, where they went along to say that I inspired them in their chapel talks.
Isn't
And
that such a cool feeling too?
yeah, you never think that you have an impact on somebody else's
No, you
life.
don't. You really don't. Like, we don't think much about ourselves. We don't. Like, it's a
No.
lot of times like we. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody, but I think the people who do give the facade that like they think a lot of themselves think even less than themselves than people who are
Yeah.
real about it. You know, I really do when you really dig down into it deep. And then there's some people who really are like. I notice the more confidence I get in myself again, the more loud and boisterous I am again, the more I'm putting my foot in my mouth again. And there's a reason why I got a tattoo on me, and it's Proverbs 17 verse 28. Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent. It's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of truth, you know, and that's why I got it tattooed on me. Because in my own life, like that's come up so much where I've had that. So yeah,
I think a lot of people up at camp are givers rather than takers. I mean,
yes, yep,
giving advice, giving those leadership, just kind of leading.
mentors.
Yeah, mentors.
Yeah, there's a lot of mentors up there, and like that's something that comes up a lot there too. Like to find your mentors and people who mentor you in like different aspects in life.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I mean you mentor me just as much as I mentor you.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like you become each other's mentors. Um, but like it's just so cool to see as everyone grows and spiritual, social growth, um, all the growth, the physical growth, all of it. It all requires work inside
Yeah.
of yourself.
To be on an island with so many wise people from so many different walks of life,
Yeah.
just pure coincidence being there together for an entire week. You pick up on so many little things, so many big life lessons, so many connections with other people that a lot of people don't really get in the
No,
outside
it's a
world
beautiful
nowadays.
thing. It really is, and it's wholesome. I think it's what keeps a lot of people going back, and we get more retention with campers than ever. They're coming back as leaders even now,
Yeah.
which is becoming a problem actually to a point where we might have to start turning some away. And it sucks to be at that place, but it also isn't a bad thing to be at that place. That so many people love this that want to come back and volunteer their time. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we're all just grown up campers at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, one way I heard it described one time, and I really clung on to this. It's men acting like boys, teaching boys how to be men.
Yep.
And it really is. It's men acting like boys, teaching boys how to be men. And it it shows in so many aspects when you see some of the young men that have come from this program. And it's not to say that there's people who've come out of it not gotten anything out of it. There's plenty of people who've had negative experiences, but like not anybody that I feel like ever walked away hating it.
No, it really depends on
I
what you take away from the experience itself. And even if you have like a negative kind of interaction with a situation, excuse me, even if you have a negative interaction with a situation, you still end up bringing something positive out of it in the end. It's just a matter of reading it in the right context, just
yeah.
kind of changing your perspective on the situation.
Well, that's a lot in life, just changing perspective. Honestly, that's why the two mentalities that I've really tried to stay away from are that of a victim mentality.
Yeah.
And when you have had crap in your life and you have a reason to be a victim, it's easier to use it, you know?
Yeah.
It really is. And especially when you get that people feeling sorry for you, it's easy to go with it, you know? But it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve anybody else. It just makes everybody, I don't know, feel like crap, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't serve anybody. And you just really need to think. The other mentality is crab mentality. And this one, I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, I haven't.
Oh, so when you put crabs in a bucket and you put a stick in the bucket,
Yeah.
a crab will try to climb up and out of the bucket with the stick, right? The other crabs will grab this crab and pull it back down into the bucket. So the crabs never can escape.
Yeah.
Even though there's a means to escape, they can never escape because they keep grabbing each other and pulling each other back down.
Yep.
That's people in life sometimes. People will see your growth. People will see you being a good person. And it might even be family members that see this. And they might look at it and be like, well, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
They don't like seeing growth in you because they feel like you should stay in the same place they are, you
Yeah.
know? And that's a tough thing to deal with sometimes. But it's also, you want to see those people grow too, but sometimes the way to let them grow is to back away. And that's a hard thing to do, to draw those lines, to draw boundaries with people. And but it's one of those things that when you do have a big heart and you see a lot of people that are involved in this organization and stuff too, you see the people who are a little bit bolder, who learned how to do those things, and then you see the people with the big hearts that, you know, it's definitely like I say, it takes all different types, and it helps you grow though to see what these people have in their life sometimes too. Like, hey, wow, that they really own it. They really are like positive, but are able to turn people down. You know what I mean? Like, and do it in a healthy way. Like, self advocating is such a huge thing, and it's hard to do sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's healthy to do. And that, like I say, that's my own personal thing I'm learning mentally.
Boundaries.
Boundaries. It's hard to do though.
Yeah.
And like so, as you grow and get better, that's the crab mentality. And I've seen myself have crab mentality.
Yeah.
I've seen where I've gotten and grabbed someone and pulled them back down. And because I saw them rising above, and I've done this at work, and that's what I always told myself I wouldn't do because I saw the old grumpy guys do it. But to cut someone down that was doing good things and trying to make a positive change,
Yeah.
and being like, "What are you doing? Like, there's no reason to even bother doing this." Like, and really was negative to them, and like every step of the way, and even would see them and like, "Well, we," is like, "What is this we stuff?" You know, and like really was negative with them,
Yeah.
and let my negativity come out big time, and that was a failure on my part. I'm glad I realized that later on, but it's easy to get in that crab mentality.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not a good place to be. It really isn't. So
I feel like on the positive side of things, like all of us are kind of givers.
yeah,
Like so many of us up at camp, like I was saying, and it's hard for us to kind of set those boundaries and limitations because we don't feel like we need to take per se.
yes, exactly.
But then if you get stuck in kind of that negative ego mindset, it's like you don't want something to be taken from you that you're not offering to give.
Yes, yep. Which I mean, and that's when you get into yourself to a point where you're burnt out.
Yeah.
That happens too. That really happens. I found myself in that place at camp, big time.
Yeah.
I feel like I give so much of myself there that I've burnt myself out and taken it out on those around me.
You wind up sick for half the week sometimes.
You know me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I let a lot of stuff up there get to me sometimes. But there's a lot of positive I pull up camp too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot what I've realized, the baggage that I've carried with myself in life
Mm-hmm.
that I'm really starting to unpack. And that I just continue to ignore. And it's not good when you do that because it doesn't help and doesn't do anything for anybody.
It gets heavier with
Yeah,
time.
it does. So no, it's good. I feel like I'm in a much better place. I feel like I've seen a lot of people through Brigade and Onaway that when I talk to them too, it's so cool because I feel like a lot of people have been taking the fourfold seriously, and I wish I would have a little more. But
Yeah.
I think everybody has their times too. Everyone goes through their struggles. You definitely can't compare yourself to other people either with your own journeys because that doesn't help at all either.
That's the biggest thing. Like you can want something and you can see somebody that's got that thing that you want, but you can't expect to follow the same path that they followed and get the same results. I mean, it's constantly different.
One, I think that like too, we're attracted to people that hold qualities we don't have.
Yeah.
And that's friendships, relationships, everything. We find ourselves attracted to someone that's able to be like, for me, it's someone that's maybe can be a little more bolder and say no. Like people who can set boundaries.
Yeah.
People that well, I don't want to say like because I'm also attracted to people who are givers too, that are big hearts and stuff as well. So I think it's not just one way or the other. Everyone's not that two dimensional. But it's so cool to see though how that everyone's that way. Kind of, it's opposites attract. It's always been the way it's
Yep.
been, and we learn to grow together. Then I think we learn how to teach our partners how to get there, and you grow together. And there's times, it can get toxic too. And I've been in enough things in my life where it's like it you find yourself being selfish and not trying to grow with the person. You see them as the enemy, and that's not good either. And I think everyone can fall into that. Everyone's found themselves in that kind of mindset, and it's easy to fall into that mindset, especially when times are tough or um you've gotten past that honeymoon phase. At times you get to what's called the roommate phase, where you just feel like you're roommates. That's not bad. That means there's stability there.
Yeah.
That means you trust someone. Like your roommate's someone you trust.
You've got
You're
a
living
level
with
of
a person.
comfort
Yeah,
that,
yep. So you got to still try to find ways to keep that um connection though, even if it's little ways of showing affection, whether it be physically, giving gifts, whatever.
cleaning the
Finding those cleaning
bathroom.
the bathroom, dude. Seriously, like just doing some shit around the house can help so much, dudes. Like just get up, do something. That's one thing we learned at Onaway. Just sweep,
Yeah.
just do something. Like that's beautiful thing about Onaway is how we teach so many people, so many boys how to do things around the house that some of them never even touched. And I'm not blaming their parents or anything. I mean, we live in a time and place too where things are, I think, changing, and it's good to see. But Onaway's always been something that's pushed, like you learn it across the board.
Yeah.
And it's not, no one's your mom there, no one's your dad there. Well, I mean, some of us have kids there and stuff. But anyways, like there's no one there that's cleaning up after you. You need to clean up after yourself.
You set expectations, and the
Yeah,
kids eventually kind of learn how to
follow them.
follow them and keep up with it. Sweeping the cabins, I mean, daily details across the island, cleaning things up, the whole leaving things better than you found it. Like a lot of these kids, it, parents probably just kind of take care of the stuff because it's what they're used to.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest. That's what I've done in my own household at times. Is I've just taken care of the stuff because it's easier to do. Because to teach someone to do it can be irritating as all hell, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to show someone how to play guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like doing that?
It's difficult.
Yeah. I mean, like, and you're a patient dude. You really are. I find myself not being one to probably be a teacher with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I get so impatient, like, well, I can just do it. Why can't you? But then I'm on the other end of it too. Like, I'm not necessarily one that's some guitar whiz or nothing. Like, I know the simple chords. I know enough to get me by. And that's it's cool to see you guys have grown and, like, that are so much more musically inclined. Because it's like, we've gotten to that next level now where I'm just like a rhythm guitarist that sings. But, I really feel like the band has become such a fun part of camp for me.
Yeah.
Always has been, but it's so much more. Every year it just gets better. Like I don't feel like there's ever a year that I will go away and be like, man, that wasn't nearly as good as this year. Like no, I feel like every time I walk away with like another one, another good year. It's yeah,
There's just so much positivity that radiates from the other leaders and the campers. Just even if they don't know the song, by the end of the week, they're going to
you
be
know
singing
it. Yep, they
along.
know it. Yep.
They love it. There's just that strong sense of
Even us, if
community
we
and
don't.
togetherness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of songs that they can be a little rough around the edges, but
Yeah,
then we
like when we
start.
haven't played them in a while or something. But we get like in a groove pretty quickly now.
It's like riding a bike. You just get
Yeah,
back to it and you just get that flow going again. It's such an incredible thing to have the group up there, and I mean just getting together and jamming out and
yeah.
just
We have band camp time.
yeah, that sense of togetherness. I mean,
Yeah,
getting the kids.
community. Everyone looks for community. Honestly,
Yeah.
everyone's looking for community. That's the social aspect.
Yep.
That's really that community. Like that's the beauty of even like small towns and stuff too. Like when I moved to Nina's got such a sense of community and I love it. Like I lived in Appleton. Appleton didn't really have as much community. Menasha's got some community. There's things that happen. It's there. I feel like Menasha's kind of looked at as like a sore spot on the valley, but I grew up in Menasha. I love it. I really think it's not bad or anything. And you go a lot of other places, it's worse. But Menasha's got a reputation, and some of the stuff that I feel like they're doing to grow is hopefully going to catch on because it looks cool downtown. They're doing cool things. I really hope that things get better there. But Nina, I swear to God, every time they do anything, it's hitting us like more and more of a stride. Like
Yeah.
Nina's just booming. Like it's doing great. Like it's growing and it's everything that they make. It's got such a vibe and community to it. Like
Yeah.
that ice rink that they built, man. Like the whole
Yeah.
plaza.
The Globe Plaza
Yeah, that's
downtown there.
awesome, dude. That's so cool. And then down the way, the park there that they have the by the towers. The towers, they're not even that tall. I mean, for around here, they were huge.
Are you talking about Shattuck Park by the
Yeah, I think
library?
Shattuck Park. Yeah, right by the library.
They do the farmers
They
markets
do the farmers
there.
markets there, and then the bands.
Yeah. They get live music out there, and
Oh
I mean
yeah,
it's such a cozy, comforting vibe, and it's why even not living in Eden anymore, like I'll come back for the farmers market every now and then because that's what I grew up on, and
it's a good farmers market. It really is.
yeah, there's fantastic vendors there.
Yeah,
It's just such a strong
it's
sense
not
of
as
a tight knit
big as
community.
Appleton either. Appleton's gets too big.
It's not as overwhelming. I
Yeah.
mean, there's thousands of people at the
Yeah,
Appleton,
the
but
Appleton one gets really like if you have social anxiety, man, like that shit's like I
yeah,
brought Avery and like Avery definitely like Nina's way better for that. Like
yep.
it's definitely not as big, not as like oh my god. So
It's a much more comforting pace than the Nina one.
yep. No, it is. It's definitely a more laid back pace, bigger small town vibes on it. The other one you have too many other vendors that are involved in Appleton that are just some of them don't make sense to even be there.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's farmers market, like whatever vendors, because I'm sure they get vendor fees for all that stuff. They gotta keep that stuff running. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it from an advertising standpoint. Like, you got to be out there, but you don't have to necessarily deal with that at Nina. I mean, there's maybe one stand there, but it's still a community based business that's trying to drum up kind of a customer base. And
yeah,
it's, yeah, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more comfortable vibe at the
yeah.
Nina
No, I
one.
definitely.
And I mean, they've got plenty of other community based festivals and stuff that happen too. I mean, I've heard they do a block party kind of on that same strip there
Oh yeah, yep,
outside of Green's Poorhouse,
yeah,
like
and they have a band there.
kicking off the summer. They've got a
Yep.
few food festivals.
No, they find a lot of cool events.
Yeah.
No, I think Brigade gets involved in some of those too. They have their own. I know when they do the Oktoberfest there at Lion's Tail, the Brigade does burgers. I think for that.
Yep.
So, have you ever been involved with that?
I think I've gone once or twice. I haven't been directly involved with the brigade while I visited.
I know Brigade's also done. They do like the sturgeon hole cutting. There's so many other like the Brigade wreaths, the Christmas giving.
Yep.
So many different programs that they do. That's just so awesome. Yeah, I don't know anything that you can really think of. Through the Brigade because you went through the whole program, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
So what was your biggest takeaway from the program?
I think a lot of it was just kind of the sense of community, the real strong desire to help others
Yeah.
and just kind of lift others up. Just being the person that you wish you had at that point. I mean, there were so many different leaders that I took a lot of life lessons from going throughout that program, and I feel like it's really made me who I am today.
Yeah, man. Like you are a good example of that program and what it can produce.
Yeah.
Honestly.
it's kind of crazy, like how many different things I did while going through the program there, and then getting involved with other community-based things, getting involved with Onaway, just really finding myself and kind of finding like a home away from home within some of
Yeah.
that stuff. Like a program being 2 hours a night, but it's something that you have to look forward to throughout the entire week. Getting to see those friends that you've made, getting to try different activities. I mean, they do baking classes there, you do the
Yep.
sports activities. We had different lectures and things that would happen in the auditorium there.
Did
There's
you had what was his name now? He came and he was part of the Holocaust actually.
yeah, yeah,
Were you there when he came?
yeah,
That was deep. He passed now. Um but he was such a entity like when he come in, and I thought it was pretty deep to have like the 6th grade boys and girls, I mean, that went through this and said like 6th grade seems like a very young age to handle this message from someone who had survived the Holocaust as a child and went through it all. And it's such a testament too, like to that. Anytime you think of anything in your own life, right?
yeah.
It's like, dude, what is this? Like, what is this guy? Like,
It's
he has dealt with so much. Like, what is my problems compared to what this man has been through? You know?
it's such a surreal grounding experience to think about what others have gone through. It's hard to even imagine. But then hearing somebody talk about it, it really just kind of gives you a perspective on life. Just it tries to help you persevere and remain positive through those hardships. And I mean, so many kids, I mean, even speaking from personal experience, like being able to go to brigade, it's a safe space. It's a place for those kids to come and just hang out, relax, not have to worry about the stuff in the outside world, and just be around other people like you and coexist. You got to find those kind of tips and tricks and things and put them together in your own way to kind of help you
Yep.
persevere through hardships, and taking the best out of all of those experiences that I shared with other leaders and with other campers, and kind of formulating them into my own processes as a person.
Yeah.
Like it's
Well, and so many lessons.
yeah,
No, and one thing I've noticed is like, and this is, I try to teach my son this, and I don't know if I conveyed it as much at camp, but something that I've really learned recently is never feel like you're better than anybody. Because I've gone through life like that sometimes, and I've seen people like that too. Some of the leaders or something that I've been like I don't, uh, might not like who they are as a person sometimes, but realize how passionate they are about what they're passionate about,
yeah,
and I respect the hell out of that. I've learned like the life lesson with that. But no matter what, everyone has something to teach you.
yep.
Everybody, even if you don't see eye to eye with someone, I can't tell you how many times you sit down and break bread with someone with the opposite views of you, politically, whatever. You might not see eye to eye with him. You might not agree with him. You might not even like him as much as a person, but there's still something there to learn.
Yeah,
Honestly, even if it's not how not to do something, it's really, there's always something to learn. I try to teach my kid that, like, don't ever feel like you're better than anybody or that someone can't teach you something,
there,
because they can.
there's always a lesson in every
Yeah.
situation.
Yep. But yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you, Ethan.
Thanks for having me.
I think it'd be fun to definitely get some more Onaway people and talk about some of this stuff. I don't know if we're even going to post this or not, but
I think we should.
yeah, I think we should. I think it'd be fun. I think people would like listening to it. Yeah, and just keep going about this organization. The people who have been involved with it, but I mean people who aren't even, or campers, whatever, that want to come and listen to this. Yeah, I think it's something that could be fun, and just talking about self growth and the fourfold and all of it, man. It's all so beautiful. I think, like I say, I'm on my own self journey right now, and I didn't realize how many of these things were already right there, and
Yeah.
I was learning them, and I'm just an idiot and wasn't listening. And I was even like passing on some of these messages, like
Without even
teaching
knowing
others
it.
without even like really. And I think I did, but like it's patterns, you forget things and
Yeah.
how life works.
Well, I can tell you what. I think you've given me my next tattoo idea.
What's that?
I gotta get the fourfold
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, I know. The fourfold's definitely one of those things that I think a lot of people who are involved with Onaway will eventually get tattooed on them.
Gotta join the club.
Yep. I think it's like one of those things. I have one on I have a crow.
Yeah.
I think it's on him. I'm not sure if it's not. I always planned on getting a back tattoo of the whole island.
Nice.
And then my original idea was going to be like campfire on the round and a fire coming up, and in the smoke would be 4 old like native chiefs looking down on the island.
Yeah.
And but that's not really an aspect of the island anymore. But I still think it'd be fun to get. I'm part native, like a 16th. That's I don't think that's cultural appropriation at that point. I don't know. No, I definitely one of those things that like even with some other tattoos I've thought like I'll eventually get some more, but it's not as once you start getting them though, it's pretty addicting.
Yeah.
But it's fun though. It really is. It's a
And
way to self-express and
being with the ADHD mind, it's so easy to kind of forget
stuff.
certain
Yeah.
aspects.
Oh,
and-
dude, like there's definitely honestly like it's funny cuz like I'm really good at talking, so I can talk a good game all day. I can make it seem like I'm really growing, you know?
yeah.
But it's you got to actually do it, you know? That's the whole thing. And that's the reminder, you know?
And if I have the fourfold on my body, I can't forget.
That's like I say, like that's why I got the
the permanent note on my
yeah.
hand.
Yep. No. That's Well, thank you listeners. We will be back here. We might find another guest to go on, and if we don't, it'll just be Ethan and I talking about our minds and bodies and souls and other people,
Yeah.
because that's the fourfold. All right. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you tune in for the next one. Have a good one.
Have a good night.
I'll be back someday, up to Onaway. 2, 3, 4.